Hi Maria. Tonight I'm going to talk about communication accommodation theory. This is a theory originated by Howard Hills. He was a professor of linguistics and philosophy, philology at the University of California in Santa Barbara. He is the founding and co-editor of the Journal of Language and Social Psychology and the Journal of Asian Pacific Communication. He has received the Spearman Award and the President's Award from British Psychological Society, and he also received the Mark L. Knapp Award from the National Communication Association. Well, where does this theory originate? This theory was originated by Howard Hills and in Santa Barbara in California because he was trying to find the reason that the shifts he observed in the speech of most people as they spoke to different people and detailed the consequences of this behavior. The main idea of this theory is to know when humans talk to each other, they tend to change the way they talk to match the way their listeners talk. Because sometimes we have an unconscious behavior and we try to accommodate our communications to try to make understandable to the other persons. And when people interact, they adjust the speech and the vocal patterns and their gestures to accommodate to the others, as I mentioned before. Well, I think the epistemology, ontology, and axiology, for me, the epistemology in this theory is the manner in which we perceive the speech and behavior of another will determine how we evaluate this conversation. The ontology in this theory is about the language and behavior impart information about social status and the group we belong in. And the axiology is the accommodation which varies in its degree of appropriateness and norms and guide the accommodation process we have behind us to accommodate our. It is important to mention about the divergence and the convergence in this theory. Divergence occurs when often there is a difference in power between communicators. This can be seen in conversations between parents and child, physician and patients, interviewer and interviewee. Howard Gills contends that divergence is used to contrast self-images in a conversation. The divergence is carried out by the individual who wants to imply a status difference between the two of communicators. And when we are talking about the convergence is largely based on attraction. The greater attraction between communicators encompasses things like liking and the charisma and credibility. Also, likelihood of future interactions, ability to communicate in a status differential. All of this is a process that occurs over time. Okay, I'm going to talk about an example to relate this class. It's something that occurs me a few years ago when I met people from Turkey. His name is Haji Baykara. He is from Turkey. He is a PhD, and he is a professor of chemistry. When I met him, I didn't know that Turkish people don't like to give kisses in their faces, and in spite of I want to approach to him to give him a kiss, he stopped me and he gave me his hand. It was so confused for me because I didn't understand when where he comes from, they don't approach too closely to persons, even though a woman. And it was very funny moment, but it was so uncomfortable too. And from that moment, I have to adapt my way to communicate with him respecting his personal space, giving him a hand. And another example I can talk is when we approach to a priest or a father in the Catholic Church. They don't kiss people. They don't give hugs most of the time. They only have like palms in the back, and they are smiling. But I think it's a good example for this communications accommodation theory, because we adapt our behavior, we adapt our way to communicate with this kind of people. Or even though when we met we made important personality, we respect their spaces. Okay, that is the references I took. I read about it, and okay, well, thank you. Goodbye.